Rice feels right now with these 6 straight losses. I promise you, this team, and you could see the frustration if you were in attendance here in Boca Raton. Devin Vanterpool smashing the chair on the sideline after Cannon Carlisle's 3 went off the back rim that would have won the game. The second near buzzer-beating win for Florida Atlantic in the 6-game losing streak. And FAU loses in overtime to USF 83-81. Florida Atlantic Voice PostUp USF edition. Presented by Robes Law Group, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. Personal injury lawyers in the community for you. We appreciate them. They are the title partners of the Florida Atlantic Voice. Can't do any of this without them. ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. He is Damon Arnette, FAU basketball legend, first 1,500-point scorer in FAU basketball history, the first true star in FAU basketball history. And we just witnessed a well-played basketball game, a basketball game that you can make the argument 2 of the best teams in the league at one another today. It doesn't feel like it simply because you're looking at FAU's last six straight losses, but FAU was able to take USF punches. FAU was actually, in key moments, able to get some stops, just not enough, and some key mistakes, some turnovers, late stages of regulation, late stages of overtime. Florida Atlantic allowed a 6-0 run. Joseph Pinion by himself after going up 67-62 in regulation. Then in overtime, Florida Atlantic with a brutal sequence that led to a 4-point possession, unable to win a 50-50 ball off of a rebound, unable to grab another rebound. And those are the small margins. Those are the differences that really hurt you, especially when you just can't figure out a way to get over the hump. And in the postgame show on the network, Damon, we were talking about the small margins, just very little room for error that existed more when Florida Atlantic started the conference year 6-1. There's just not enough cushion there for you to make mistakes and find a way to punch yourself out of it. And this was on full display again today, like East Carolina, like Tulsa, like Rice. And I have to imagine, man, that locker room, I'm sure there are so many guys that feel like putting a fist through a wall right now.
And they should. But one difference, Ken, that I must say is those other games, that especially the East Carolina game, the Rice game, those games were played at an even competitive level.
Yeah.
Okay, that we wasn't able to pull that game out. This was a high-level basketball game that we lost. We played at a high level consistently. The East Carolina game, we played down. I know we didn't make stops in East Carolina that we needed to, but the game, if we brought this type of team and this type of focus and energy to East Carolina, we win by 20. If we brought this same level of focus and intensity to Rice, we win by 20. Okay, so all things aren't created equal, even though you got the same result. A loss is a loss, so that's the only thing. But just comparing the style of play now, this was a high-level basketball team that we should have won in overtime. Okay, but once again, as you mentioned, just a few mental lapses here. And South Florida, once again, made the shots. Pinion knocked down. Just because you shoot it don't mean you make it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so he knocked down. He went 2 for 2 and erased that 5-point lead that we had by himself on 2 possessions.
In case you're wondering about the standings, and you can jump in the comments here, Florida Atlantic Voice presented by Robes Law Group, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. Go ahead, give us your impressions. Go ahead and give us your questions. We'll answer them here. At the LE after this FAU 83-81 loss to USF. It's getting precarious right now in terms of Florida Atlantic and their ability to even make the American Conference Championship. FAU is only 1 game out of being on the wrong end of the American Conference tournament line. North Texas, based on percentage points, is actually a percentage point ahead of FAU. Florida Atlantic will play North Texas next weekend, but now both teams with 7 losses in the conference standings and the team right behind FAU sitting in 11th place, the first team on the outside looking into the American Conference tournament picture, is one game behind Florida Atlantic in the loss column and has a tiebreaker on Florida Atlantic in the loss column. So this road trip, and every game is massive.
Which team is that?
Rice.
Rice. Okay.
Every game is massive. Who thought, starting 6-1, that going to UTSA, the last place team in the league, is a gargantuan, massive, potentially season-altering game? How wild is that?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Ken, since you did the history leading up to it, you wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
The way the season came, but this is where we are. I mean, the season is full of ebbs and flows. Injuries are part of the game, and yes, we can, cry our head in our pillow and talk about the injuries and all the things that we've had to overcome over this stretch, but nobody wants to hear it. But we're hopefully, you saw a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to, okay, can we just get back to the way we were?
Yeah.
Okay, it was clear without our full lineup that based on the last 6 games, no. If this is what we're going to put out there on the floor. But tonight, this afternoon, rather, you saw what we are now getting back to be. This team today looked like the team that went 6-1.
Yeah.
Okay, that looked like this team. So it, as Coach Jake has said in the post game, the good team is still in that locker room. Okay, but now it's starting to be able to see if we can manifest it and bring it all together again.
With this game in particular, I want to go back to the overtime, okay?
Okay.
And there is 2 minutes and 33 seconds left to go. Josiah Parker makes a layup to tie things at 77 apiece. Come back down the floor. Omajafo for USF misses a 3. USF grabs an offensive rebound, and Wes Enos loses the ball going up from left of the lane, has the wherewithal to go back up, catch the loose ball, and before he
I think he just tipped it.
Enos lost the ball going up. I cannot remember. It might have been Omajafo who grabbed it before it no, it was Enos. I'm sorry. It was Enos. He lost the ball from midair. He threw it to Omajafo on the left wing. So it wasn't a travel because Enos didn't come back down to the floor. Very heady play. Omajafo picks out Enos in the left corner, and Cannon Carlisle goes running into Enos for 3 free throws. Foul taking a 3. Enos makes 2. Then a missed free throw, and somehow Damian Collins, who's on his back between 3 FAU rebounders, grabs the ball, rolls it back out to a teammate beyond the perimeter, and C.J. Brown makes a second chance bucket. And just like that, because of hustle plays for USF back-to-back, it goes from a tie game to FAU trailing by 4. That's case in point of what we've been talking about, just winning plays, unable to come out on the right end of them. That was gargantuan.
Well, just to kind of recap how you just accurately described that sequence, when Ennis was saving the ball was going out of bounds. Just to add a little more drama to that. When he lost it, had he not caught it, the ball was going to land out of bounds. So he's saving the basketball as he's going out of bounds to find his teammate and kept playing and popped back into the action into the corner. On the rebound, off the free throw, Williams just got pushed underneath the basket a little too far. Okay, and that allowed the tip back to happen from South Florida defender who was that? That was Ochep Collins. That was able to tip the ball back because he came in and just was able to push Williams underneath the basket a little bit too far. But you're right. It's just those little bitty plays right there. And you kind of wonder if you have someone in the game like Logie, okay, who's not going to get pushed, at least not on that side of the basket. Does that help that possession for rebounding? Okay, you start playing what if we were healthy kind of scenarios. But neither here nor there. We got to move on, Ken. I mean, and if that locker room is not thinking about UTSA right now or within the next few hours, these kind of losses right now tend to linger. And I'm concerned into turning the ship around And today it looked as if you start to see a little turn.
Encorst in the chat, live chat, and again, jump in. For those of you that are watching this live on Twitter and on YouTube, and of course the podcast will come out after the fact. Encorst, there's obviously bigger fish to fry here, but what was your guys' take on Jacobs opting not to use that final timeout? So what Encorst is referencing is at the end of overtime, C.J. Brown hits 2 free throws. I can't remember the exact time. Let me look at it because I have the play-by-play up here. So C.J. Brown makes those free throws with 8 seconds left to go, and FAU
Is he
had a
referring to the
timeout
end
on
of
the
regulation
no,
or
no, 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 end
overtime?
of overtime.
Okay.
So FAU has a timeout to burn. Both teams had a timeout at that point. Actually, USF might have used theirs. And instead of a timeout, Nico Moretti comes racing up the floor and throws a pass to Kanan Carlisle, who misses a right wing 3 for the win. Now, we obviously talked about it at the beginning of the post-game show, and we brought John Jacobs on, as he typically does on the network, to discuss it. And he said that's a discussion between him and Nico Moretti on the sideline prior to the free throws from C.J. Brown. And if John Jacobs doesn't like what he sees, then he calls a timeout. If he likes, and he called it jailbreak, if he likes what FAU has, because USF he anticipated would load to that left side, bringing it up, he was going to let him play because chances are Nico Moretti was going to have targets, was going to have options. John just clearly liked what he saw as Moretti's coming up the floor on the left side. He gave it to Carlisle, who caught probably a little deeper than he would like. He did have someone closing out on him. You just wonder if, looking at the replay, Carlisle maybe could have up-faked and given himself a little closer three-point attempt instead of the catch and shoot. But all in all, it wasn't the worst look, and I think it was certainly a better sequence than what we saw at the end of regulation with the baseball pass. So for me, after hearing John Jacobs' explanation, I can't really argue it because you got a decent look for the win.
And that's the whole thing. Do you actually think that if you called a timeout, that you're going to get that quality of a look?
Who knows?
And that's the whole thing. Well, you got one not calling a timeout, and the whole point is to be in a situation where the only difference in calling a timeout comes is if you specifically going to go for the tie or the win.
Yeah.
Okay. And any basket you'll take, okay, and that's what you live with when you choose not to call a timeout. I liked the decision not to call a timeout in that moment strategically because you do have a scramble. You're not playing against a set defense. You kind of put the other team in more opportunistic, more chances to mess up and to miss assignments. And hell, Carlisle walked into a three-pointer pretty much uncontested. Yes, it was a little bit deeper, but he wasn't out of his range deep. And not only that, Williams got the rebound, but fumbled it.
Right.
Now you ask yourself, if that was Josiah, would he have been able to coordinate himself to go back up with it? So we kind of had two opportunities, one for the three with Carlisle's three, and then another to tie it when Williams got his hands on it. But he brought the ball down and wasn't able to get another attempt up. But to the question that was asked, I'm okay with it. It worked out. And that's something as a coach to live with. Because let's say if they turned the ball over, Coach Jacobs, should have turned the timeout. And if Carlisle would have hit the shot to win the game, Coach Jacobs is the best coach in the world by letting him play. You know what I'm saying? So that is a roll of the dice. It always is, no matter what level of play you on. But Jacobs has his philosophy, and there's really not a wrong or right answer to that moment.
Do you think the players need to have a players-only meeting? That is Aaron in the chat. I mean, I'm sure something like that's already happened. I don't think that when you lose 6 in a row, I got to think that I don't, but I also don't know what a players-only meeting does. I think everybody knows that they're on the same page. Not that they're on the same page. I think everybody knows where everybody stands.
Well, let's get this straight. To have a players-only meeting, that means that there are problems internally with your team. Most likely behavior things where you're not playing hard or there's conflict, there's friction from a getting along standpoint as a team. The team that came out there today, that shows that if they probably already had a players only meeting, because the team that came out there today played high level basketball for 44 minutes. Okay, so no, I don't think you have a players only meeting because player only meetings usually are necessary when there's dysfunction going on, not when you tend to can't use a game because player only meeting normally when you have that is to hold people accountable for something. Okay, who are you pointing the finger at for these 6 losses? I mean, just seriously. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no no whoever. I'm sorry, who asked the question?
Aaron.
Aaron. No, Aaron. This is not a situation of a players only meeting should happen. But if they chose to have one, it's not a bad thing or something
No.
that is wrong to have.
And
But
honestly, I don't know. I don't know if that's happened, but I have to imagine there's at
if
least been the closest
if
thing to it if it
if
hasn't happened.
if you do have a players only meeting, the tenor in the meeting, the tone of it is, look, our season is still in front of us. It's to make sure everybody understands that our goal is still our goal.
Yeah.
But that's not really not a players only meeting. That's something that I'm sure is coming from the coaches to bring that message. Something that players can kind of figure out for themselves. But when you say players only meeting, that means something is wrong. Okay, and I don't see anything wrong from a
Something
player.
wrong from a fractured locker room
Yes,
standpoint.
yes,
I mean,
yes.
I understand though the concern about a fractured locker room. Listen, when you've lost 6 in a row, when you went from first place in the league to having your back against the American Conference tournament line, I don't want to invalidate people's concerns, fans' thoughts that there might be some discord in the locker room. But I also think naturally, as competitors, these guys aren't going to be huggy and oh man, it's so close. No. These guys are mad. These guys are upset. They expect better of themselves. So it's not going to be utopia. It's not going to be sunshine and rainbows and puppies. But even if there is bickering, even if there is, what is that? How do we fix this? Why did you go there? And we saw it on the floor here today. That's pretty normal stuff as long as it doesn't get personal.
Well, if this locker room was somewhat even beginning to fracture, you wouldn't have seen the product you saw today. And people that watch the game, that are in the chat, you have to. I understand the loss is really what overshadows everything, but you have to look at the game and how the game was played. Okay, you got to look at the product that was out there on the floor. You don't get to see that product. And I think on the floor today, if there was a fracture, you don't see that, especially after losing 5 straight and you fracture playing the number one team.
Yeah.
You don't take them to overtime and play together. We had the most assists that we've had. So no, you don't these are not signs of a fracture. And if there was a players locker room meeting, it should have happened after the East Carolina game. Okay.
Yeah, that was the one. Well, and at Rice being down 15 to a team that's in the bottom three.
See, that's when you can start saying that something is wrong when you're playing below your standard.
Yeah.
Oh.
And yeah. And on that note, to leapfrog, off of that, you first you somehow have a game winning 3 potentially that rims out against Tulsa, who is the first place team in the league here at the Alley. You somehow play USF to overtime and have a chance to win it at the Horn against the first place team. So you go from those 2 efforts to losing at home to East Carolina and losing on the road where you're down 15 in the second half to Rice. I think that's the most confounding part of the 6-game losing streak is that you're playing up to the best and you're playing down the worst. And that's where I'm having the toughest time wrapping my mind around.
Well, understand this too. I mean, everything's got to be taken in context, Ken. When we played East Carolina, there was definitely no Carlisle. There was no Logie. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the first game that Devin may have started feeling a little better.
Vanderpool was still wearing long sleeves because he still had fever sweats.
So, I mean,
but again, it's East Carolina.
I get it, but East Carolina can beat a team when you're down 2 of your top scorers and best players on the team. You let East Carolina go play South Florida without Pinion and Nelson.
Yeah.
Or without Ennis and Pinion. And let's see what happens with the player on the team that leads the conference in scoring by a wide margin.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to put things in its proper context as you're looking backwards and evaluating things. And with that being said, also out of those 5 games losses that we had, How many of them were we at the line to win the game with 2 seconds?
Right.
Okay, so you say playing down to the competition, yes, but I don't think we were playing down to the competition, understanding the lineup we had on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you take Carlisle away and you went off for all effective purposes, take Devin Vanderpool out the game, do you not think that we're even team with East Carolina?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would.
Okay,
I
that's
just.
my point. So I mean,
My only counter to that would be UAB went into Tulsa without two of their top four scorers and Andy Kennedy, their head coach, suspended, and beat Tulsa.
okay,
Meanwhile, this basketball team without Kanan Carlisle, and yes, you were missing Devin Vanderpool with the flu, and yes, you've been without Maxime Logie, but he's not a top four scoring threat. But Kanan Carlisle is the common denominator with all of this, and you haven't been able to find a way to win with your injuries. That is so confusing because the depth looked so strong in the non-conference in the early part of conference season. But the depth looked so strong, and then all of a sudden the depth wasn't good enough, and that's what's been so weird during the 6-game losing streak.
but our depth, as you speak about it, you're right. It wasn't good enough, obviously, but some of our depth was taken away with Logie. Now, I know that he was getting 13, 15 minutes, but there's a reason why I call him the magnet and the effect that he has on the game. And there's been a no Pentalon sighting. Okay, for whatever your reason may be. So those are two pieces that equivalent to the depth. Now the depth now is starting to play more minutes. Depth means that you can go down the bench, but not necessarily play them extended minutes. Depth means that you can keep guys fresh because you have multitude of people that can spell guys and you not lose anything. Depth does not mean you can take a non-starter and play him starter minutes for 5 games straight and you not miss your starter. Okay. And so as we continue to look backwards and kind of reflect on this to kind of see what it was, we should have won those games regardless of all that. So our depth had allowed us still to be able to play against these teams and have an opportunity to win. And you mentioned going into Charlotte and winning. Okay. We didn't play Charlotte.
Yeah.
Without these guys. Maybe that Charlotte is probably the fine of a line.
Tulsa,
I'm sorry. Maybe Tulsa is just as fine of a line as we are. UAB, those players that they lost may not have had the same chemistry effect that losing the players that we have. Because you got to remember, Carlisle, we wasn't necessarily missing his points. During these 5 games, we didn't our scoring output didn't dip.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 points. Okay, Carlisle has nothing to do with Parker being free at the line to win the game. Okay, has nothing to do with Elohim missing free throws at the line to win the game. It has nothing to do with that. Okay, so you mentioned these things, and they are factors, but at the same time, the guys that are out there got to win the game and just kind of man up in a certain area.
Florida Atlantic is 6-7 now in league play. The 6-game losing streak is the longest since the 2017-2018 season. That spanned December into January of that year. 2 seasons prior, Florida Atlantic had a 9-game skid. So FAU not yet in that territory. But you've got this UTSA trip, last place in the league, into North Texas, who has now passed you by percentage point in the standings. You are Florida Atlantic is now in 10th place. That would be the final spot in the American Conference tournament with 5 games left to go. You got to get it done here in Texas. This has to happen absolutely now.
Okay, so that is the downside of it. So now let's look up. So where do we stand being in 10th place, looking up?
2 games outside of
second place.
Okay. And Temple is the team that right now, I believe, would have that number 2 seed, and you have the tiebreaker against Temple, and they come back here. So you're right, but you always need to be cognizant of what's behind you, and what's behind you is that ominous American tournament line.
But you know what? What's behind us is what's in front of us, Ken. And what's behind us are these teams. What's in front of us are the teams behind us.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we need to play a pickup game against anybody right now just to get a win. So I don't even care who's on the schedule. If it was the Miami Heat or the local high school team, we have to win our next game, not necessarily for survival purposes, but we got to get back in the win column because we have, what, 5 games left?
Yes,
Yes,
5 games
5
left.
games left. You don't want to go into the conference tournament limping. Okay, you don't want to go into conference tournament limping. And Rice and North Texas, they have a schedule to play as well. Okay, just like all the teams ahead of us has a schedule to play outside of us, and they're going to lose games. Okay, you're assuming Rice is going to run the table, and they're behind us.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way they jump us. Okay, now what are the odds on that? So I get it. Yes, it is a close race beneath us, but looking backwards, that's exactly where you're going to end up. Moving forward, we have these games in front of us. We control our own destiny. And let me ask you something, Ken. If we win out, which is very likely, I'm not going to say likely, would you be surprised if we won our next 5 games considering our schedule?
Now, let's look at the schedule real quick here. Where did I have that? I want to make sure that here.
I think I know it.
So you obviously have UTSA.
We have UTSA
and on the road, FAU or UTSA and North Texas.
UTA, North Texas. We come home for Temple.
And
then
Charlotte. And then you're at Wichita State. Those are
Wichita
five.
State.
Didn't even look
Exactly.
it up.
Can we not? Charlotte is reeling.
Yes.
Okay.
They just lost at home to UTSA.
Okay, Charlotte is reeling. Temple just lost the unexpected game, and we've already beaten Temple.
Yep.
Okay, so let's put that history in the context as well.
But,
so my question is that would it be unheard of if we ran the table?
No, it would not be. It would not be. But
is it a far stretch?
Yes, you're exactly right.
It is a far stretch.
But, no, it's not a far stretch, but it is difficult to just say a full-throated yes when you've lost 6 in a row. You know what I mean?
I get that, but we've not lost 6 in a row with the product that's out here on the floor. Because if you tell me that we have the same team that lost 5 of those 6, then yes, I'm with you. But we're not having the same team. Hopefully we get Logie back in another 10 days.
Yeah.
Then we got our full team back. Okay, so I don't know what you're going to get out of him coming off his injury, so a lot of that is optimism. But Carlisle looked like, Lord willing, knock on wood, that he doesn't have any setbacks after this game and with his recovery. But this is not the same team from a personnel standpoint, and that is so big. That is the difference from the first 5 losses to this loss and whatever happens moving forward. It is not the same team. When Carlisle's in the game, Ken, everybody goes home defensively, and I'm talking about defense.
Yeah.
Everybody goes home. Carlisle now is on the ball defender. Vanderpool now, which is arguably our 1A best defender, is guarding the next best perimeter guard. Okay? Then you got Elohim, who's probably guarding somebody who averages 9 or 8 points.
Yeah.
Because everybody's now able to go home. You don't have to switch as much. And when you don't have to switch as much, that is how Williams was able to be top 5 in the nation in shot blocking, because he's able to sit there. But now that when Carlisle's out, he's got to switch up a spot, and now he's out there switching on the perimeter. He's not around the basket, getting that rim protection. And it's a domino effect by one person being taken out.
That is still wild to me, though. I can't believe that one player like that has completely changed the trajectory of the entire season. And like, this isn't me being disrespectful. I don't think I've seen it before like this. This is wild.
But Ken, I'm gonna tell you, I don't believe that it would, because once again, you say that, and you're right. It is a meaningful domino impact. But we still should have won 3 of those 5 games without him. So it wasn't a devastating kind of situation.
But
we were able to overcome
but
it.
you lost to 2 teams that were in the bottom 3 in that span.
That you should have beaten, not should have beaten just because you're a better team, but as the game went out and played out, you should have won the game. Make your free throws.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't have defensive lapses. And that's something else too now, Ken. When you got guys that have to give mental focus for 30 minutes of the game when they're used to giving mental focus 20.
Yeah.
So that 10 minutes of being locked in to someone who's not used to that matters.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, I'm not trying to be doomsday with all this. I'm just trying to put into perspective, though, what we've seen the last 6 games. And it's not sunshiny at all. And you're right. You still should have won those games, but you didn't. And I there are plenty of teams that suffer significant injuries, and they're able to find a way to pull through. And this team is just
I
fighting.
get it,
fighting,
but those
fighting
significant injuries may not be the significant piece as to the way the system is set up that Jacobs has built around Carlisle and Vanderpool. Not just Carlisle, but just the Carlisle, Vanderpool, Williams kind of trio. And let me ask you this. With Carlisle being in the game, well, let me take that back. The team you saw out there today, did that look like the same team that lost the last 5 games? Yes, there was some common breakdowns, I get it, but from game in totality, does that look like
No,
the same team?
no,
Okay,
but
then that's the effect. Nope.
it did too often though look like the same team in the final 3.5 minutes of the
Well,
games they've lost.
we had some mental breakdown errors. Yes, correct. But overall, for the 45 minutes of game that was played as a team, did that look like the same team?
No, I mean it looked better with a Kenny Carlisle who is not 100% but was moving a lot better.
Check this out. He only scored 15 points.
Yeah.
I mean, from a scoring standpoint, we scored 83 points, 81 points, including overtime.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how many games did we lose without Carlisle that we scored 80 points, 78, 79 points? So that's what I'm saying. It is the effect is something that really can't be shown in the stat sheet, because when you practice as long as we have, the schematics, the plays, the sets, the strategy, the scout is all based on a healthy personnel.
Yeah, it's just something's got to give at some point, and this coaching staff has drilled it over and over and over and over and over again. Final minute situations, final 5-minute sequences. I mean, that is all that they did on the road at Rice last week, and still there's hesitancy. You remember the before the inbound that was tipped, by the way, that found Vanderpool for the layup that tied the game at the end of regulation. You made the comment, and we were discussing it on the radio broadcast, that it seemed like everybody was hesitant. Everybody on the floor was hesitant to make the play or make the decision, either get to the rim or distribute it. It was
They didn't know what
a
to do.
nervy feeling,
Yeah.
and so those are the things, though. Like, this coaching staff has blasted it into these guys' faces, and I guess I just don't, with so much talent, I don't understand the nervousness here. These guys are better than that, and that suggests to me just a confidence tightness type of thing.
Yeah, I agree. There was some tightness and confidence. I mean, when you lose 5 games in a row like we have, confidence can be kind of shaky. But can we go back to UAB on the road? Remember how we won that game?
Yeah.
Okay, that was okay, we got to buckle up coming down the stretch. Tulane. Okay, how we won that game here. Okay, that game was let me see here, against Tulane.
Tulane, they made a comeback.
79-74.
Yeah.
Okay, we had to close out that game. When we ended up playing Temple on the road. Okay, so we know how to close games. We've demonstrated that. That is part of the reason why when we were 6-1, they wasn't from blowouts. We blew out one team. Well, 2 teams, I'm sorry, and that was Wichita State and Memphis when they came here.
Yeah.
Everything else, we had to win it in the last 5 minutes of the game. Okay, and we did that. But now we got to get back to that mode. We got to get back to that chemistry. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the last time we had everybody healthy, is when we was on that winning streak, 6-1.
There's 5 games left to find chemistry. In case you're wondering about Maxime Logie, John Jacobs said verbatim in the postgame, still weeks away from Maxime Logie. So not out for the year with a right foot issue, but weeks is the word that was used. So don't expect him back for UTSA and North Texas. And so that will leave true home stretch. 3 games left to go where maybe you see Maxime Logie or maybe you don't even see him. Fingers crossed until the American Conference tournament.
Well, I hope we can get Maxime back for Wichita State. That would be a good game to get him back going into conference, but he's got to start practicing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's going to need a good week and a half of practice, even though he's not playing games.
You can jump in the chat for another couple of minutes. YouTube if you're watching live, Twitter if you're watching live. This will come out in podcast form as well. Florida Atlantic Voice presented by Robes Law Group, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. Hefe. At this point, I just want to make the American Conference tournament. I- Yeah, and I think that's a reasonable approach. Like, just get in at this point, especially where you're only a game ahead in the loss column from the three teams that will miss out on the American Conference tournament. But it is worth reiterating, you are 2 games back of
Second place.
second place, which would still give you the triple
Triple bye.
bye into the semifinal, because Temple currently sits in that spot. You've already beaten Temple if you're looking at tiebreaker, and Charlotte is in that spot as well, and you have Charlotte at home for the only meeting this year. So Temple and Charlotte, 7-5. Tulsa's in that spot as well. You have lost to them. Wichita State, you have the tiebreaker on them. You split with Memphis. UAB at 7-6. You have the tiebreaker on them. They're going to lose another game. They're going to get 7 in the loss column. In fact, Andy Kennedy in his post-game press conference today after a loss absolutely ripped his basketball team. So again, it's not the realm possibility that you do get a triple bye. You're going to need some help, though. You're going to need to actually win. You're going to need to have to end this losing streak. But,
Let me ask you this,
you want to
Ken.
get into the tournament. That's first and foremost now.
What kind of help would we need, considering the fact that every team that is ahead of us, one game or so, we play? They're still on our schedule.
Temple, Wichita State, Charlotte, North Texas, who suddenly you're in a dogfight with. They're playing their best basketball of the season after losing 4 in a row. They've won 3 straight.
The only team that's ahead of us now that we're not going to see is South Florida.
Yeah.
And
Tulsa. Yeah.
Everyone else we see. So
and Memphis, but you split with them already.
Yeah, but we split with them already, and Memphis, correct. So as to my question, if we went out, okay, and I wanted you to preference it by the likelihood of that happening, if and when we went out, where would you project we finish? Just so everybody listening can understand.
Top 4.
We would be in the
at
top.
least get a double bye into the quarterfinal.
We would at least get a double bye.
I think that it's at least reasonable. Will it happen? I don't know. But in that spot, you're at the very least gonna realistically be top 6, and if you get some help and things go your way, then you're top 4. But at 11, say you win out and you finish at 11-7, that is reasonable to think you're in the top 4. And I understand the fan who's like, Ken, come on, dude. You really think they're going to win 5 in a row? And I get it. It doesn't feel great because you've lost 6 in a row at this point. But based on the schedule, and if Carlisle is indeed fine physically after this one, and you have him here for the remaining 5, and maybe you get Logie back before the regular season ends, you have the last place team coming up. I mean, fingers crossed you can take care of that. And then you go to North Texas, where a place obviously you haven't had a lot of success the last couple of years, but if they've had a rough year by their standards, like maybe you can – if FAU goes on this road trip and win out, then I will feel confident saying they're going to win out with Wichita State on the road being a huge wild card there. But I don't want to look too far ahead because, again, this is a team that's lost 6 in a row.
Yeah, and you're supposed to take every game by game.
I mean, I think I'm trying to comfort myself here, but
I think so. I think so. But as a competitor,
but
and
you're
as
the
a
one
player,
who's telling me 5 games in a row is reasonable.
we've already done that, haven't we? How did we
Yes.
get to be 6-1?
Yes, we had won 5 in a row.
And so all we have to do is get ourselves back together and play teams and play to our level and our standard. If this team that came out here today goes into UTSA, we beat them by 20.
Yeah.
If this team today goes into North Texas, we beat them by 20. If this team today comes back home off the road trip to play Charlotte and Temple, we should be favored to win those games and should be winning. It should be. So to me, I see this coming down to that Wichita State game potentially for seed purposes. But I really hope and got a feeling with my experience of these things, our seeding is going to be set before we even get to Wichita. Win or lose going into Wichita, we're going to know where we're at.
You remember last year, FAU was able to jump into the top 5, the final game of the season when they beat East Carolina here in Boca. But you're right, it could very well be solidified there. In the live chat, Dad to ZTK. Not sure why Pintalon's in the rotation. Maybe give Max Langenfeld a turn.
Well, Max has had a turn.
Max has had a turn. He started at Memphis, and it was. It didn't instill, I don't think, enough confidence in the coaching staff that that they felt as if he should be solidified in the rotation. I don't know. I don't know enough about internal discussions about Max Langenfeld. We know he has so much talent. He just hasn't been able to be consistent here. Injuries haven't helped in his time at Florida Atlantic, especially last season. But you saw Josiah Parker get his first collegiate start today, and John Jacobs explained that it was because they wanted to get Kanan Carlisle and Josiah Parker on the floor at the same time. And I think John Jacobs liked enough what he saw. I wouldn't rule out Josiah Parker being in the starting lineup against UTSA, but there is no doubt Xander Pintelon is fighting it in a massive way.
Pintelon will not get back in that starting lineup barring some type of unforeseen injury. He's not getting back in that starting lineup because he's playing the same minutes when he was starting.
Yeah.
Okay, and his minutes haven't been cut. But Pintelon, as a player, he better start being productive if he want to get back out there. We know it's in him. We've seen it before. We've had him on our post game 3-4 times throughout the season. So he has the ability, and he's shown it. I don't think this is a confidence thing that he seems to me not – he's lost his place, I think, emotionally and mentally on this team to know his role.
Yeah, and John Jacobs is trying to get him back going. I mean, right away.
Just be a shooter.
John Jacobs designed the offense to try and get to him, but just some numbers on Pintelon. He has 9 points in his last 7. He's 2 of 15 in his last 7 from the field. He's 0 of his last 9 from the field, and he's
struggling.
Is 2 of his last 11. 2 of his last 11 from 3, and I take that back. 2 of his last 16 in the last 7, and 0 of his last 10. He did take a deep 2. He had 3 shots total here today. I don't know about Pintelon in the rotation, but I would be surprised if Josiah Parker wasn't in the 5 against UTSA, maybe for the rest of the season.
And speaking of Pintelon, I mean, he's going to have to shoot himself out of this with limited opportunity.
Got to see something go through.
Yeah, and with limited opportunity. And he's got to understand that his role may be a little bit redefined right now. But he's just a player that if you ever wanted to know what it looks like that a player has lost all, and the key word is all confidence.
I feel really bad for him.
It's Pintelon. Don't feel bad for an athlete, Ken. This is part of it. Everybody goes through certain stretches where they got to do this. Because you are an athlete, you're able to mentally push through this. It happens to all of us where we feel like we can't do anything right. Got 2 left shoes on.
Yeah.
It's part of it. When you play the game long enough, it's not all rosy. There are dark closets that you find yourself in. But you, as a man, as an athlete, as a player, got to get yourself out of it. Coaching ain't going to pull you out of that. He's got to get himself out of it. And you just wonder with the European to the U.S. transition,
if maybe it caught up to him a little.
If it's caught up to him, and now he's able to do certain things. Well, he's able not to be able to do certain things that he used to, and all that can play a role into a player's psyche. So he's going to continue to get opportunities, but not going to be big ones, and he's got to make the most of it.
It's Hefe. Pintelon has the ability. It's been his attitude and effort the last 5 games. I don't know if the effort's lacking. Now, as far as decision-making, the technical that he took against Tulsa, which nailed him to the bench, that's
the doghouse effect.
That was a bonehead decision, and John Jacobs said as much. You saw it. Xander Pintelon on that Sunday after the game against Tulsa ran gassers for not 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, but for a whole damn hour.
More than that.
And John Jacobs said, I skipped church to come here. We talked, we read, we did the entire thing. He needs to see something go through the basket. I think that what may be a mistake for a bad attitude, and you and I have been, and we're no experts in body language, and we both thought against Memphis he sort of had slumped shoulders and maybe was a little bit disengaged, but I think the vast majority of what you're seeing that you might be consuming as attitude is frustration, is deflation, is this want to contribute and nothing's going in the basket. No matter what he does, things are rimming out. He's getting good looks, and he's just not finding a path to success, and that, it hurts. And it's more of a surrender of, God, what more do I have to do? I think that's more that than attitude with Xander Pintelon.
Well, I mean, it's all fruit from the same poisonous tree.
Yeah.
Yes, overall, and you say you're not experts at body language. I think we are. We know what bad body language looks like. Now, the source of it is different. That's what we don't know.
Yeah.
Is he mad because he's coming out, or he's mad or got the bad body language because he can't throw it in the ocean
I
right
think
now?
it's the latter. I think
Okay,
it's absolutely the
exactly.
latter.
But the negative body language is there. Okay.
Yeah, but I would be too. I wouldn't be
Oh,
sunshiny and jogging back to the bench after missing.
but you know what though? To a certain extent, that's I guess one of the things you got to fake it till you make it on that. You don't show that. You got to know for one thing. You got to show. You got to understand you're on television. And another thing you have to understand is that body language is easy to see. Okay, because when you knock down three in a row, you got a pep in your step running back to that timeout.
I just feel bad for him because he's much better than this, and
Well,
I have to imagine in his entire basketball life, a guy who
do
has
you
played
feel
pro
bad?
overseas.
Do you feel bad for Steph Curry when he goes 3 of 17? I'm sure he's had stretches like that. You don't. It's part of the game. He has got to fight himself through it. And the problem with Pentalon's game is that he's very one-dimensional. Okay, it's 3 or nothing. You see the times that he attacks the basket, he's very uncomfortable doing that. Even when he gets to the rim, he missed a finger roll today.
Yeah.
Okay, after a great decision to pump fake and attack the basket, he can't buy a basket or a layup.
Yeah.
Okay, and so he's got to play himself out of that.
You know what? I forgot those numbers. I updated on Pintaline. He was 0 of 4 from the field. At first, I thought 0 of 2. Then I thought 0 of 3. Then I thought 0 of 4. But for the sake of not rubbing it in, he's Andrew Pintaline. I'm not going to give the
No, it's
revised
not.
numbers of his
It's
last
not
7.
rubbing it in. He's just got to shoot himself out of it. He's not the reason why we're on this skid by no means. But we need his help. We need his contribution because everybody can't be playing bad at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's kind of what you've had over these 5 losses here.
So we're going to wrap it up there, and appreciate everybody jumping into the chat, questions, input. That means a lot that you guys take the time to correspond with us, and we appreciate, especially since Damon and I aren't able to be courtside now and see a lot of you shake hands, do that whole thing like we've
see us in the penthouse,
always
though.
done. You can always come up and see us in the penthouse right above the student section. You're not going to get turned away there. So come see us and get some steps in. It's good for you, but it means a lot that you take some of your Sunday to hang with us. And I believe what Damon and I are going to do after the UTSA game is it's been rare to be able to do these things on the road, but we'll probably do a hotel version after the UTSA game, where hopefully we're talking about the end of a 6-game losing streak for FAU. Robes Law Group, they bring you the Florida Atlantic voice. Robes Law Group, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. Personal injury lawyers in the community for you, the best damn personal injury lawyers in all of South Florida, maybe America, maybe the world. Robes Law Group, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. He's Damon Arnette. I'm Ken LaVicka. We'll talk to you next time. Florida Atlantic is taking on UTSA on Wednesday. Damon and I will be there with you. Fox Sports 640, foxsports640.com, and the free Fox Sports 640 app. Until then,